The palace of the Silithian Empire shimmered beneath twin suns, their golden rays refracting through the translucent towers like liquid fire. Each wall hummed faintly with stored energy, the lifeblood of a civilization built on the fusion of art and advanced technology. Within its vast corridors, silent drones floated by, their glassy eyes scanning for dust, sound, or rebellion. Even their quiet mechanical hum seemed careful, as though fearful of disturbing something sacred, or something grieving. When night came, the Empire's light dimmed to a pulse. Stars beyond the shield dome blinked in spectral colors, and the palace became an echo chamber for a sound no one dared to name. It began as a low vibration, a resonance that trembled through the crystalline floors, making every living being pause. Then, it rose into a lament, deep, ancient, and full of loss. The dragon was weeping again. Servants whispered of Athera, the Emperor's celestial guardian, whose kind had once ruled the skies of distant worlds. She had fought beside him in the great cosmic war, burning fleets to cinders and bending gravity to her will. But when her kin vanished in the blinding collapse of the 13th star cluster, she was left alone. Since then, every night, her cries rippled through the palace like waves against glass, shattering sleep and courage alike. None dared approach her chamber, where even sound bent under the weight of her sorrow. None, except one. Elara stood at the edge of the service corridor, her heart beating to the rhythm of that haunting sound. She was human, one of the few allowed to serve in the Emperor's palace after her world surrender. Her duties were simple: clean, obey, remain unseen. Yet each night, the sound pierced deeper, as though something inside her responded to the dragon's mourning. She had seen Athera once, from a distance, massive wings folded like molten silver, scales rippling with star patterns. But what she remembered most were her eyes. They had looked alive, even in despair, like galaxies holding back tears. Tonight, the sorrow was sharper. The air shimmered faintly with cosmic particles, the temperature dropped as if grief itself had stolen warmth. Elara clutched the edge of a console, feeling the vibration run through the metallic veins of the wall. Around her, holographic displays flickered and dimmed. "She's breaking again," murmured another servant before retreating, afraid even of speaking too loudly. Elara didn't move. Something called to her, not with words, but with resonance, a faint harmony beneath the anguish. The sound was not anger. It was loneliness. It was the sound of something ancient dying slowly and wanting, just once, to be understood. Beyond the forbidden gates, Athera wept for the stars that no longer shone. And in a moment of quiet defiance, the human maid wiped her trembling hands on her uniform, turned toward the sealed chamber, and whispered into the cold air, "No one should have to cry alone." Then, heart pounding like thunder against her fragile ribs, she took her first step toward the impossible. The door to the forbidden chamber was unlike any other in the palace. It was not metal or crystal, but something older, a living barrier of obsidian fibers that pulsed faintly, reacting to her presence. No one had ever passed through it without the Emperor's command. Yet when Elara reached out, her hand trembling, the barrier quivered as though recognizing her pulse. The locks disengaged with a whisper, and the air that spilled out was colder than the void between stars. She stepped inside. The chamber was enormous, stretching beyond the eye's reach. Floating structures hovered in silence, massive rings of alien metal rotating slowly, generating magnetic ripples that kept the gravity thin and unstable. The walls shimmered with projections of constellations, flickering like dying memories. At the center lay the dragon. Athera was motionless, her colossal body coiled upon itself, her wings like folded veils of liquid light. Her scales no longer burned with color, they dimmed, cracked, and shimmered faintly as though her very atoms resisted decay. Around her, fragments of broken technology floated. A shattered containment prism, scorched neural cables, the remains of an energy conduit that once linked her to the Emperor's core systems. She had been connected, body and mind, to the Empire's heart. And now she was breaking apart from within. Elara's breath fogged in the freezing air. The scent was not of dust or decay but ozone and ionized sorrow. Her boots made no sound as she moved closer. The dragon's breathing was faint, deep enough to shake the ground in slow rhythm. When she reached the base of the platform, her reflection appeared on one of Aethera's scales, a fragile human silhouette, trembling before a fallen god. "Why have you come?" The voice did not come from her mouth but from every atom of the chamber. It vibrated through Aethera's bones, deep and vast. The dragon's eyes opened, glowing faintly gold, and in that light, Aethera saw galaxies flickering within them. "I heard you crying," she whispered, though the words felt useless in the immensity of that sorrow. "I couldn't stay away." The dragon's gaze fixed upon her. "No one hears me," Aethera said, her voice carrying the cold weight of millennia. "Not even the Emperor. You are not meant to be here, human." Aethera swallowed her fear. "Then why did your door open for me?" The dragon hesitated. The air rippled. Somewhere deep within her chest, the faint echo of a heartbeat stirred, and the walls of the chamber brightened with light. "Because," Aethera said slowly, her tone softer, uncertain, "something in you carries the resonance of loss." Aethera took another step forward. The ground trembled, but the dragon did not move. "I've lost too," she said quietly. "Maybe not like you, but I know what silence feels like when no one answers." Aethera lowered her head slightly, the golden light in her eyes flickering with curiosity, or pain. "You would speak to me of pain, little mortal?" Aethera nodded. "If it means you don't have to bear it alone." For a long moment, the dragon said nothing. The air around them pulsed, alive with faint starfire. Then, in a voice that seemed to come from the very stars themselves, Aethera murmured, "Then stay, for as long as courage allows you. But know this, every truth you awaken in me will awaken something in you as well." And when Aethera met the dragon's gaze again, she felt it, the faint spark of a connection, fragile yet immense, as though two broken worlds had touched for the first time. Aethera returned the next night, though every rational part of her warned against it. The Emperor's laws were clear, disturbing the guardian dragon was treason. But she could not unhear that voice or forget the faint flicker of warmth that had returned to Aethera's eyes. She moved through the maintenance tunnels in silence, her pulse sinking with the low hum of the palace's power conduits. The entire structure seemed to breathe, as though aware of her trespass. When she reached the chamber again, the barrier parted before she could even touch it, as if welcoming her back. The chamber had changed. The air pulsed with faint energy currents, and the constellations projected along the walls were brighter, shifting patterns like they were slowly realigning. Aethera was awake. Her massive head was raised, eyes reflecting the glow of distant galaxies. The dragon regarded her in silence, and for a moment, Aethera felt as if she stood beneath a living universe. "You came back," Aethera said, her tone less a question than a quiet marvel. "I promised I would," Aethera answered. She stepped closer, carrying a small cluster of luminous petals, flowers harvested from the moon gardens, their bioluminescence flickering like soft starlight. She placed them at the edge of the platform. "They glow in darkness," she murmured. "I thought you might like them." Aethera leaned down, her breath stirring the air like a gentle storm. "They remind me of home," she whispered, and for a brief instant, her scales shimmered brighter. "On my world, light grew even from the ashes of battle." Aethera sat beside her, dwarfed by her enormity, and listened as Aethera spoke, slowly, haltingly, about her kin, the celestial dragons who had sung to the stars, their bodies vast enough to cradle moons. She told of the Great War, of the Emperor's command to defend the collapsing star clusters, and how the void had devoured them one by one. "Their voices are gone," Aethera said, her tone trembling like fractured metal. "When one of my kind dies, a star dims. Look above you, human, our sky is fading." Aethera raised her gaze. The constellations displayed above them flickered, and she saw it, a slow darkening where once light had been constant. "Then maybe," she said softly, "we can bring some light back, even if it's small." Aethera tilted her head, studying her. You speak as though light obeys your will. It doesn't, Elara replied, smiling faintly. But sometimes, it listens to kindness. For the first time, the dragon's great chest rose in something like a sigh. The floor pulsed faintly beneath Elara's feet. She felt it, a resonance, subtle but growing. The dragon's energy field was stabilizing, syncing with her heartbeat. Machines embedded in the chamber flickered, reawakening from dormancy. Data streams lit up across the curved ceiling, showing the neural links between Ethera and the palace's core. The dragon's eyes narrowed slightly. You are affecting the lattice, she said. Your presence alters the energy flow. Is that bad? Ethera hesitated. No, she whispered, almost to herself. It feels alive again. Elara looked around, awed. The dying light had brightened. The air vibrated like a melody beneath silence. In that suspended moment, as stars shimmered faintly above and machines hummed to life below, the human and the dragon sat together. Two souls from distant worlds, unknowingly beginning to mend the broken rhythm of the cosmos itself. Word of the dragon's awakening spread like static through the palace's encrypted channels. The drones moved differently now, their flight patterns sharp and nervous, transmitting silent alerts. The air itself felt charged, too alive, too aware. In the command spire, the Emperor watched the readings on a holographic projection. For the first time in years, Ethera's vitals were stable. The energy patterns within her chamber pulsed in rhythm with a human biosignature. His gaze hardened. A human maid, he murmured, voice barely a whisper. How did she breach the lock? He dismissed the hologram with a wave, the data collapsing into shards of light. Beneath the polished calm of his expression, guilt simmered, a memory buried deep within the circuitry of his own mind. Ethera had been his companion, his ally, his living conscience. Together they had built the empire from the ruins of dying systems. But in the war's end, it was he who had ordered her kin into the collapsing cluster, knowing none would return. Their deaths had saved the empire but left her hollow, her sorrow echoing through him like a wound that never closed. He had locked her away, believing isolation would heal her. Now a human, one of the conquered, had reached where he could not. Meanwhile, Elara sat once again beside the dragon. Ethera's chamber pulsed softly, filled with low-frequency light waves, as if the room itself breathed. They know you're here, the dragon said quietly, her voice resonating through the alloyed walls. The Emperor watches. His heart beats through every circuit of this place. Elara didn't flinch. Then he can watch me help you. Ethera's eyes glowed faintly, golden irises swirling with fragments of galaxies. You do not understand what binds him to me. His life and mine are woven together. My agony is his own. He feels every cry I make but cannot face me. Then he's as trapped as you are, Elara said, her voice low. You both are. The dragon shifted slightly, her wings unfurling just enough to stir the air. He chained my power to sustain his empire. The same system that feeds his throne drains my essence. I exist within a loop of grief and servitude. And yet you, small as you are, have changed its rhythm. Elara looked at the glowing conduits running through the floor, now pulsing in harmony with Ethera's heartbeat. Then maybe the system isn't unbreakable. The dragon tilted her head. You speak like one who has never known what the cosmos takes from dreamers. I speak like someone who's tired of obeying, she replied. Let me try. Before Ethera could respond, the chamber's light flickered sharply. A holographic projection shimmered to life, a towering image of the Emperor, his armor gleaming like obsidian. Enough, he commanded, his voice vibrating through every molecule in the air. You overstep, human. Leave her. Elara rose to her feet. If you truly wanted her to heal, you would have come yourself. The Emperor's eyes darkened, data streams flickering across his projection. You do not comprehend the scale of what you disturb. Then teach me, she said. Or let me do what you couldn't. For a moment, silence filled the space, thick and electric. The projection dissolved without a word. Athera exhaled slowly, releasing a faint burst of plasma that shimmered like tears in the dark. "He fears what is coming," she murmured. "And now, human, you are part of it." Outside, the twin suns flared briefly, and across the palace's network, systems began to shift, rewriting their own parameters, as if the universe itself had started to listen. The palace trembled beneath the rising storm of energy. The Emperor's command protocols rippled through every corridor, sealing gates, rerouting drones, and locking entire sectors into isolation. Yet the chamber of the dragon refused to obey. Its systems pulsed erratically, flickering between control and chaos. Athera's bioluminescent scales shimmered in waves, reacting to unseen frequencies. "He's trying to contain the breach," she said softly. "But it is too late. The bond has been formed." Elara felt the pull inside her chest, faint at first, then growing with every breath, a warmth, a vibration that matched the dragon's pulse. The connection between them was no longer symbolic. It was physical, molecular, something alive in both. "What's happening to me?" she whispered, her fingers glowing faintly in the dim light. "You gave me your empathy," Athera replied, her voice a mix of awe and fear. "And the lattice that binds me has taken it as energy. You are feeding my essence with your life." Elara's knees weakened. "Then take it. If it will heal you." "No." The word echoed like thunder. The dragon's vast wings unfurled, scattering light particles across the chamber. "You do not understand. A transfer like this cannot be undone. When human and dragon merge through resonance, their fates intertwine. My revival means your decay." But it was too late for caution. The ground convulsed, streams of quantum light spilling from the walls as the chamber's containment matrix failed. Data spiraled around them, symbols and codes older than language. The energy converged toward Athera's heart, where Elara's faint glow merged with the rhythm of a dying star. Across the palace, alarm screamed. The Emperor stood before his console, watching as the dragon's energy levels spiked beyond prediction. "She's doing it," he whispered. "The human is restoring her." His hand hovered over the control that could end it all, a single pulse that would sever the connection and destroy both. But his finger trembled. For all his power, he could not kill hope again. Inside the chamber, the light became unbearable. Elara's body shimmered, her veins glowing like molten gold. She could feel Athera's sorrow, her centuries of loneliness, her guilt, her fading will to live, and she gave all she had in return. Her memories, of home, laughter, the soft warmth of the sun on her skin, flowed into the dragon's heart. Athera roared, the sound splitting reality itself. The stars projected on the walls blazed to life, each one reigniting with her cry. For the first time in eons, her wings lifted fully, radiant with cosmic flame. The chamber's gravitational core collapsed into pure light. Elara's form flickered, her edges dissolving into streams of energy. She reached up, her voice trembling but steady. "You're free now." The dragon looked upon her with eyes like the birth of worlds. "And you are more than you were," she said. "Part of me now, forever woven into the sky." Then came silence, beautiful, absolute silence, as the energy wave rippled outward, reshaping everything it touched. The Emperor fell to his knees as light filled the horizon, realizing that one fragile human had accomplished the impossible. The dragon no longer wept. The universe itself was beginning to breathe again. When the light finally faded, the palace was no longer the same. The shield dome shimmered like liquid glass, humming with new resonance. The air smelled of ozone and warmth instead of sterile silence. Across the Empire's networks, systems rebooted, not as machines obeying commands, but as living extensions of a pulse that now flowed from the dragon's heart. The cry that had once haunted every night was gone. In its place lingered a low harmonic vibration, soothing and alive, like the heartbeat of a reborn world. The Emperor stood before the broken chamber door. His armor was scorched, his control interfaces flickering with residual code. Inside, he found Athera kneeling among drifting particles of light. The dragon was smaller now, her vast wings folded close, her body humming with radiant energy. Where Ilara had stood, there was no body. Only a swirl of soft luminescence hovering above the dragon's chest, moving in rhythm with her breath. "She lives," Athera said, her voice both thunderous and tender. "Not as she was, but as something more. Her essence flows within my lattice. Her heart now sings in the stars that were lost." The Emperor lowered his head. The grief he had carried for ages pressed against his ribs until he could no longer stand beneath its weight. "I failed you," he whispered. "I failed all of them." Athera's gaze softened, her golden eyes glowing with new warmth. "You tried to build an empire that conquered pain, but all you made were walls. She tore them down with a single act of kindness." He looked up, the reflection of her light dancing across his face. "Then what happens now?" "The empire must change," she said. "The age of domination ends. I will open the skies again, and through me, through her, life will flourish where war once burned." From the chamber's ceiling, the constellations reformed. New stars blinked into existence, glowing softly where darkness had reigned for centuries. One of them pulsed brighter than the rest, a newborn light named in the ancient tongue Ilara. Days passed, and word spread across the systems. The dragon no longer wept. Her voice filled the sky each dusk in a chorus that reached every colony, every ship, every lonely heart. The Emperor dismantled the weapons of old, turning the forges into sanctuaries of creation. He spoke of the human who changed their fate, a servant who defied laws greater than any throne. And in the quiet of the nights that followed, when the twin suns rested behind the horizon, Athera would lift her gaze to the heavens. There, among the revived constellations, a new cluster glowed with gentle fire. Sometimes, when the wind passed through the silver spires, a human laugh echoed faintly through the air. The dragon smiled, and for the first time in uncounted ages, peace felt real. The empire, once built upon grief, now pulsed with a shared heartbeat, one born of a single human act that bridged the infinite distance between sorrow and hope.